Today, we are diving deep into a profound cosmic rebellion. It's the story of how a passive servant trapped in a dying reality absolutely shattered his chains to become the master of his own destiny. This isn't just a change, it's a journey from hollow servitude to absolute, terrifying sovereignty.
And honestly, this single image, it captures the entire journey we're about to explore. We're talking about a metamorphosis from an existence that was passive, hollow, and just stuck into a state of constant, active self-creation. A state that's defined only by pure will and the perpetual act of becoming.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to follow the writer's ascent in 5 distinct stages, starting in a celestial prison, moving through a reality-shattering rebirth, and landing on the radical, liberating philosophy that now defines his every move.
Okay, let's begin in what the source material calls the Old Heavens. This is where the vertical rider started out, but he wasn't called that yet. He was known only as the Pale Rider, a being with a very specific purpose, but with absolutely zero will of his own.
His job was, well, pretty grim. As this chthonic messenger, the servant of the grave, he was basically an agent of finality. His whole purpose was to ensure things ended, all under a reality bathed in what's described as a stagnant light. Nothing new could ever begin there.
You see, his world wasn't really a living heaven. It was a cosmic tomb for the living. The source calls it a celestial mausoleum, a perfect description for a place where any little spark of individual will or vitality was just smothered by a pre-written destiny.
And this phrase just captures his powerlessness so perfectly. He wasn't bound by heavy steel chains. No, he was shackled by the feather of a dead morality. This weightless, empty idea of right and wrong that kept him completely paralyzed. He was nothing more than a historical stain.
But, every prison has a flaw. And for the Pale Rider, the first crack in the walls of his servitude didn't appear as a glimmer of light. It came as a sound. This was the catalyst for everything. He perceived this uncanny frequency, a vibration of pure raw potential that his pre-programmed mind just couldn't process. It was the very first sign that another, truer reality was actually possible.
Hearing that frequency, it triggered what you can only call a Promethean rebellion, a violent, agonizing metamorphosis that was going to unmake him completely, just so something entirely new could be forged in his place.
Now, this transformation unfolds in 3 incredibly powerful stages. It starts with this external active rebellion, literally reaching out and grasping a terrifying vitality from the sapphire demiurge, and it ends with this profound internal realization, arriving at the very center of his own being.
And that sonic screech, it wasn't just some noise, it was a purification. I mean, think of it like a cosmic acid bath designed specifically to dissolve that historical stain of his past. It cleansed him of everything he was ever forced to be.
So he didn't come out of this as a better servant or some kind of reformed angel. No way. He emerged as a living paradox, the error that corrects the truth, ready to tear down the whole gilded cage he once served.
This new being, now called the Vertical Rider, had an entirely new set of attributes. He needed a new form to match his new, unbreakable will.
And in his new reality, nothing about him is passive anymore. His very color, that sigil on his brow, his gaze, even his state of mind, they're all weapons now. They're all powerful symbols of his self-made power.
This right here is a fundamental shift in the laws of the universe. His judgment is no longer based on good versus evil or right versus wrong. His crimson audit measures one thing and one thing only: raw inherent vitality and the strength of your will.
So a new form like this has to be governed by a new philosophy, right? And his is the radical code that he now operates by.
His philosophy isn't about despair or meaninglessness. It's something called active nihilism. It's about taking the hammer of your own will and actively smashing apart the decaying, dying systems around you to make way for what you can create in that void.
And the text describes 2 paths of existence. There's the easy, flat path of horizontal comfort that the masses take, and then there's the difficult, dangerous, upward climb, the vertical ascent of the sovereign individual who's trying to reach the terrifying heights of the Overman.
See, for the writer, truth is no longer some fixed star you follow in the sky. It has become a weaponized shard, something you forge yourself, something you define and wield with your will, moment by moment. So, what is his purpose now? What does he do?
He's the Audit Shadow, a sentinel of the abyss, and he patrols those dangerous spaces between what was and what could be.
His new job is to challenge things, to unmask comforting lies, to show that old protectors were actually jailers. He offers the abyss, that great, scary unknown, as the only real path for those who are strong enough to walk it. And above all, he is living, breathing proof that your nature is not your destiny. It's a choice.
And in the end, the collapse of his old world was actually the beginning of his true existence. He found ultimate freedom and peace, not in some restored, perfect order, but right in the heart of the chaos that he now commands.
And that leaves us with one final thought, a question inspired directly by the writer's journey. In his old life, he was forced to endlessly polish the great wall of glass that separated him from what was real. He only found freedom when he finally shattered it. So I'll leave you with this. If your reality is a mirror, will you spend your life polishing it, or will you break through it?